tinfoil gang, look at what you did to my channel. It's almost like 10,000 people said, you know what? I don't care what they say about this guy. I'm signing up. No, seriously though, the right words escape me, and that's not something that happens very often. I'm the Nautilus, and this is the 10K subscriber celebration video that I never thought I would ever make. Now this one is going to be a little different from what I usually do because we're going to go completely script free. That's right, we're playing fast and loose this time because it just feels better this way. But before we begin anything, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting this little dream of mine. And it's crazy to think that something like talking about a show that I like has managed to bring so many people together. And I think it's going to take a few days before it really sinks in. But one thing I can say for sure right now is I feel humbled and a deep sense of gratitude. It makes the whole video making process a lot easier because making videos on YouTube can be, depending on your genre, I assume some are worse than others, but with my genre, it's like a minefield. There's, demonetization and copyright and terms of service that always seem to get in the way of me doing what I really want to do. And so having the Patreon is huge. With that said, big shout out to Devilish, Jill B, Michael Jones, Nano Girl, Sam Dallin, Aaron Bird. Last but not least, Dr. Toebeans. I hope seeing your name in lights puts a smile on your face. All right, so the tinfoil gang came through and you left me with a bunch of questions. So as is customary here at Nautilus Files, let's dive. We have the new boy Dahlia. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the waffle party. What is it? Why is it so effing weird? What's the ending actually supposed to be when the severed person doesn't leave midway through? The waffle party is essentially a play on the kind of ridiculous rewards that we often get at our place of work. I remember back in the early 2000s, it was customary at places that I worked for to get rewards. It could be anything from gift cards to like pens and stupid things like that. You can get things like shirts with the company logo on it, which is, yeah, who wants that? I think in this case, this is the ultimate reward, which is a chance to sort of, I don't know, I guess I would say bend the rules or indulge in some of the vices or things that you're usually not allowed to indulge in. You're not allowed to even discuss. So thanks for the question, and we're gonna move on to the next one. This is Shuckins. Watching Severance has taught me that I really like waffles. 100% agree. Waffles are better than pancakes, and that I'm not living my life to the fullest. Those are two really big things to learn, I think. I've perfected my waffle recipe, but as far as dancers go, nobody has responded to my Craigslist ad. Such is life. All right, so the question is, two quick questions. Have you ever considered doing audiobooks? Yes. I've also considered doing like voiceovers, things like that. I think it's something that I'm gonna look into in the future. If you could see me behind the mic, I'm gesticulating like Phil DeFranco, basically, all right? Anyway, have you seen The Expanse and what do you think of it? I don't just like The Expanse, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. I may even cover that show in the future at some point. I just wish I had more time. Time is the enemy. All right, thanks for the questions, Shuckins. Next up, we have User. Dylan implied early on that he had been to a waffle party before, but seemed surprised during the scene. Do you think he was lying? No, Dylan, I'm pretty sure has been to the waffle party before. I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but I remember him having a conversation. He said something like, I don't want to miss my waffle party this time, or something like that. It gave me the impression that he'd done it before. I think somebody responded to you and said that Cobell also mentioned something about choosing someone else to get the reward this time, implying that he had already experienced it. I do think you're correct in picking up a different energy. The way that I read that scene was that he was so focused on his goal, his mission, and I think that's why he seemed a little bit weird or a little bit off. All right, so next question is, this is from Drew23. You should do a list of like your top 20 shows you've seen. They don't have to be in a particular order, just some good recommendations. I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna put like an official recommendations list in a community post. All right, thanks Drew23, appreciate the question. And now we're gonna move on to Running Rabbit 04. So we only saw one form of punishment in the break room. After all of the deception and trickery from the group, any ideas of their punishment? Will it be in the break room or another room, maybe down an elevator? Or what's gonna happen to them in season 2 as a result of what they did in season 1? Like what's the punishment gonna be? I don't think we're gonna see what we typically saw. I don't think they're gonna go to the break room at all. What they've done is huge. They've seen things they weren't supposed to see. They've kind of been tainted as far as Lumen goes. When you look at it from Lumen's perspective, I don't think they can just put them back in MDR and punish them and say, don't do that again. this is one of those situations where they're going to have to wipe them. The only other thing I can think of is that they decommission or separate them. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say whether they would even have another room for punishment, but I'm sure there are other rooms where they do freaky stuff that we haven't even seen yet. So Comatine says, keep up the good work. So grateful for your contribution to the Severance community. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you hear a glass in the background, that's me kind of celebrating. So thank you, Comatine. Running Rabbit's got another one. Did you review the map to see if there's anything more? I feel maybe it will show up again where a character adds to it and passes it along before dying. The thing for me about this map is more like a abstract impression of a map. So it's hard to say. Nothing new on the map as far as I know. So Steel 510 Rain says, hello and congratulations, well deserved. Thank you. Do you do all the research by yourself? The answer is yes, I do everything by myself. This is the reason why it takes me so freaking long to finish a video. This is why I only put out like 2, maybe 2.5 videos per month. If it was up to me, I'd do 1 video per week, but it just takes so much time, especially the edit. And do you have an overarching idea what the end goal of the show is after however many seasons they do? Thanks for everything, love your voice, and take on Severance. Thank you, Steel Rain. I appreciate that. It's nice of you to say. To answer your question, all right, so how do I think the show is going to end? That's a good one. That's hard to answer in the first season. Given what we know, I would say that a lot of it's going to have to do with all of these characters in MDR coming to grips with the pain in their life and facing it. And that being the only way that they're able to surmount their pain. I think ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to have the owners versus the workers. This is going to be a classic class struggle. I think season 2 is going to reveal a lot. There's a bunch of new characters coming to the show. And so if you have that many new characters coming in, they're going to have to reveal more of that world by doing this. So anyway, thanks again for the question. Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Warwick has a comment. Been enjoying your breakdown on the series and I'm really looking forward to season 2, but I hope you get the chance to break down Constellation. Yeah, bro, that's going to happen. It's going to happen. So Britta says, I actually love Silo so much that I read the series, Wool, Shift, Dust. Do you plan to read the books? If so, would you do a comparison to the show? Usually in a situation like this, I would read the books first. I never thought about comparing them, but that might be something that might be good to do. But yeah, I definitely will be reading the books. I hear that it's not exactly the same, that there's quite a bit changed. And there are some characters that have been added and things like that. So I definitely want to see what the original writing was like and what was intended there. And yeah, I'd love to make a comparison between the two. Anyway, thanks, Britta, for the question. I think you have another question in here, so I'm going to get to that one soon. Next up is Flip Book Salt. They say, I'm curious to know what you think the outlook of the show is going to be. There has been a lot of rumors about production issues and infighting on the creative side of things. Would you rather see the show continue and have an open end if this ends up being the last season, or pivot and put a bow on season 2 just in case it isn't picked up again? If you were writing the script, what is your plot summary for season 2? And where would you like to see the show go? You have a few questions here, so let's start with the first one. Would I rather see the show continue or have an open end if it ends up being the last season? The last time I checked, Apple had already signed up for 2 more seasons, so we're gonna see at least 3. There is always the possibility that things can fall apart to the point where artists can't work together. If that were to happen, I think I would rather them just leave things open-ended. Sometimes things happen and you don't get to make the entire season the way you planned it. Whenever something like that happens, I find that it kind of just ruins the flow of the story. So I would rather it just stay open-ended. Yeah, I'd rather it stay open-ended. I don't want to see a forced ending. We know that season 2 is introducing a lot of new characters, but of course we have these other characters that we've already grown used to, and of course we want to see more of them too. So I don't know how they're going to handle that. I would want to see Lumen from a different perspective, from the perspective of a different department. Maybe someone who's higher up, from the perspective of a middle manager, or someone from a different office. Lumen will do their darndest, whatever extreme measure it is that they'll take, but somehow they're going to hold on to that past or that memory. I think it's probably going to come by means of the Heli character, and it's going to allow them to kind of go back and try to finish what they started. That's where I want to see things go overall. Anyway, thanks for the question. That was a good one. All right, next up is Amanda Garcia. Thank you for single-handedly keeping my interest up in Severance. Your analyses are so thorough and I appreciate your enthusiasm for the show. One question I would have is what made you want to start a YouTube channel, and also if you have a day job outside of YouTube? Thank you for the question, Amanda. So I'm the kind of person who always has to have a creative outlet, and this was that thing. This started back in 2020 when everybody was stuck at home, nothing else to do. So yeah, I realized very early on that I love every part of making videos, even though it is an insane amount of work. Yeah, I can't imagine not doing it. The second question was, do I have a day job outside of YouTube? I do. I do remote work, and I'm also a student working on a computer science degree. So next up is Luna Cascade. Now, Luna Cascade, I know that name. Where do I know that name? How do you decide what shows to cover? For me, it's really simple. There's a lot of shows that I watch that I would not talk about on this channel. There's not enough to say about them. Maybe they're just not deep enough, or I'm not so interested that I would want to actually sit down and do the research. Generally speaking, I like to talk about shows when talking about the show helps me understand it better also. The other thing is I need a mystery, and I need characters that are compelling. I have to care about the characters. If I don't care about the characters, it's hard to write about them. Hopefully that answers the question. Now, Luna has another question. She says, what's up with the goats? I think that's a question everybody has. What's up with the goats? All right, so here's what I think. There's a lot of crazy ideas, and because it's such a weird thing to have to contend with in terms of trying to understand this show, I would say that I'm gonna go with what I think is the most straightforward, simple answer. That the goats are there to test the chips. They put the chips in the goats in order to sort of either prime them or to test them before they put them into real people. That's what I'm running with right now. Thank you, Luna, for the question. We're gonna move on to Alex, and Alex D. Ramat. Hope I'm saying your name correctly, sir. So his question is, what would you love to see adapted for TV that you would hope others would love as much as you know you would? There's a book called House of Leaves. I'd love to see it adapted, but I don't think it would ever happen. The first thing that comes to mind for me is it's a book called Sea of Tranquility. It's by a writer named Emily St. John Mandel. I love this book. House of Leaves. I'm gonna look that one up though. But anyway, yeah, I would say Sea of Tranquility. That'd be my first choice. Anyway, thanks for the question. All right, moving on to Petrius. Congratulations. Can't wait for season 2. I agree. I cannot wait for season 2. Hopefully we get to see it this year. So this is Levidoc. Congrats. Why the name Nautilus? Is it a reference to the animal or Jules Verne's? It is a reference to Jules Verne's. You are correct. It is a reference to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It was really the first sci-fi novel that I ever recognized as sci-fi. I was very young when I read it the first time, and it kind of started that fire, that love for sci-fi for me. So big up Jules Verne. Next up, we have Sarah K. Proud of you. Sarah is another one. She's been here since the early days. She always has something nice to say. Thank you so much for coming through. We're just back with another one. Are there other shows you want to do videos on? Yes. Oh yeah. Oh man. You have no idea how many shows I would cover if I had the time. Severance is my main show, but it's definitely not the only show that I want to cover on this channel. Besides YouTube, my number one hobby would have to be reading. I like to do field recording, so I like to go out and do that. I'm sure this sounds really weird. How would I describe field recording? It's basically going out with sensitive audio equipment to record real life sounds for the purpose of archiving or using in other forms of media. Coffee or tea? Well, for me, it depends on the time of day. In the morning, I prefer coffee. In the afternoon, evening, tea. For sure. My family is from the Caribbean, so yeah, tea drinking is a big thing in our house. So yeah, we grew up drinking a lot of tea, but I do love both. But coffee's a hell of a drug. Miles Memory has a question. His question is, what got you interested in making videos? It's just a desire to create something. I want to make something that takes time and effort and that I can be proud of. Is that 12 Tentacle? Cats or dogs? I don't hate cats at all. I've owned cats, but I am a dog person through and through. Dogs for life. I don't game as much as I used to. I'm just too busy for it. I have been gaming for a while, and I will probably never stop. And last but not least, 2 people said they love me. Yeah. And you know what? I love you too. Now, I did have plans to talk about some more theories in this video, but we've run out of time. But shout out to Jen Cowitz for giving me this great idea for a video. The next Severance video I do will be a little different. We're gonna look for the most insane Severance theories we can find, talk about them, debunk them, laugh, and have a good time. So look forward to that as the next Severance video on the channel. I would do it in this video, but like I said, this video has gotten pretty long already, so I'm gonna have to move it into another one. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of the ride so far. I appreciate you all rocking with me this far, and let's keep it going, you know. And always remember, be good to yourself, be good to others, and I'll see you in the next one. Off you go.